now we will listen to Jimmy Christensen, who is the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Lund University, who invited us to this fantastic place. And I will give the floor to him.
Thank you.
That he can now speak to you.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. So, dear colleagues, students, honored guests and friends of Lund University, welcome to us. Welcome to Lund University. We have done research, education and innovation since 1666. And our motto is that we are a world-class university that works to understand, explain and improve our world and human conditions. Welcome to Lund University, one of the oldest and largest universities in Sweden, with 9 faculties, 45,000 students, 8,000 employees, and more than 30 world-leading research areas. A university that attracts more international students than any other Swedish university. 29% of our undergraduates and 49% of our PhD students are international. We have 650 partners in 70 countries. Welcome to Lund University, a university situated in a country with a long democratic tradition, where education is free, where academic freedom is solid, and where gender equality has been on the political agenda for decades. So welcome to Lund University, where 50% of the students, but only 29% of the professors are women. My name is Jimmy Christensen. I'm a senior lecturer in nursing research and also one of the Pro-Vice Chancellors for Lund University, responsible for communication, integrity and character. This means that I work with questions related to ethics, academic freedom, work environment, leadership, communication, and of course, equality, diversity, and inclusion. And it's a great pleasure and a great honor to open this conference. We are right now in the heart of Lund University, close to the university main building, and in a building called Palestra. This house was built 1883. 3 years before that, the first women were enrolled as students to Lund University. Hildegard Björk and Hedda Andersson started to study medicine. In 1912, the first woman defended her PhD thesis. Hilma Borelius did that in literature science. And in 1965, we had the first professor, female professor, Birgitta Odén, in history. It took 300 years. This house was originally used for gymnastics, fencing and music. Today, it's for lectures, but we also have the University Symphony Orchestra residing here. Right now in my life, I'm in that place when things is a lot about boiling pasta, doing homeworks with the children, or driving them to soccer practices. At the same time, I'm expected to pursue a hardcore academic career, be a very good academic leader, and at the same time take responsibility for society, the climate, the pandemic, and our planet. And what I want to say with this, that sometimes I feel a bit too tired to take on all the fights. At the same time, I have not lost faith in a better world, because it's just about that, working for a better world. Even if it, in my case, is about a better academy, a better and more inclusive university. In a way, it's almost a little bit strange that we still need to work and address these issues. Because really, it shouldn't matter where I come from. It shouldn't matter how I live my life. It should be unimportant if I was born in Lund, Chicago, Cape Town, or Shanghai. If my father had a white tie or a blue collar. It shouldn't matter if I can go to the university by myself or if I need support to get here. It should be unimportant how I define myself, how I look beneath my clothes, or who I'm living my life with. It shouldn't matter, I say, but it does. And therefore, this work is needed still every day. It goes without saying that academia should be about assessing and rewarding achievements. It's not about creating fast tracks for underrepresented groups or lowering the requirements for quality. It's about creating a context where we all have the same conditions to reach our full potential. In my work as Pro Vice Chancellor, I try to change organizations, strengthen the mandates, strengthen the leadership, and above all, achieve an ongoing systematic preventive work. There are those in society, but also among our colleagues, that think that this is radical, and perhaps even part of a radical feminist agenda. For me, this is about humanism, a sustainable academy, and human rights. And that's why conferences like this are so important. So I welcome you all to the Genera Network Conference, Gender Dimensions in Physics and Math-Intense Research and Education. Welcome to Lund University, and I hope that you will enjoy your stay here. Welcome.
We are now actually jumping to the final end of the conference, so the last session. So let's make this move to the projects that are already in place to deal with gender dimensions in research. And please welcome Marilou O'Neill from the Kadir Has University in Istanbul. And she will report on the Gender for Excellence in Research project that is currently running. So,
let's hope so.
Please.
Great. Good morning, everyone. I am Marilou O'Neill. I am the coordinator of the Gender X project, Gender for Excellence in Research. I'm also the director of the Gender and Women's Studies Research Center at Kadir Has University in Turkey. We do have one, I'm happy to say. This is there we go. This is a 3-year project. We're a little more than halfway through. And we have a very basic aim in many ways, and that's to stimulate the integration of the sex and/or gender dimension in research content. And that's all kinds of research content, thus the reason I'm talking to you all here today. It's a twinning project, and I know a lot of you are familiar with those, so sort of 2 purposes with twinning projects. One is, I guess you could say, a more academic purpose. The other is the other side of sort of helping develop capacity and build reputation of widening countries. Turkey is a widening country. So we have a few objectives here. So we're trying to raise awareness and communicate the benefits concerning the integration of a sex and gender dimension into research. We are especially trying to increase capacity when it comes to early stage researchers and their ability to integrate a sex and/or gender dimension. To be honest with you, in part, we're focused on early stage researchers because it's a lot easier to convince them. I mean, you all have already, you drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. You have already been converted. And as you know, it's very difficult to sometimes bring our more advanced colleagues into the project. Not that there's no hope, but we are focused on early stage researchers. Networking, of course, and of course, you can see the last objective revolves around building our capacity as a research center. So a little bit about the model, because it also tells you a little bit about what we're doing. What I have found in doing this work is that when I talk to people about integrating a sex and/or a gender dimension, they say, that sounds great. I agree. Really important. But what do I do? They don't know what to do. Aside from the classic, right, fix the numbers. Well, we'll have equal numbers of men and women on the research team, and that's where it stops. So that's a really important issue that's informing this project, is to teach people, to work with people, to fully integrate sex and gender into all parts of their project, into methodology, into their approach, into their data collection, into their analysis, even into their budgeting for their project. So, starting with a few one-day trainings, a little tasting menu, if you will. On to a gender school. We've had one gender school that we held last year online. We'll have gender school number 2, which is a 5-day training that will be held in person September at Kadir Has in Istanbul. We have had now, well, we've had one Gender in Research conference. In fact, it was just this last weekend, and I'll talk a little bit about what we did there in just a second. We'll have our next conference, hopefully a year from now, again, June 2023. We're starting to work on exchanges between our 4 partners. I was very remiss in not acknowledging our partners. Of course, one of which is Lund University and Thomas himself, TU Dublin, Technological University Dublin, and UNIGE, the University of Genoa. These are our major partners for the project, so we are working on exchanges between all of us. The idea being that eventually this would lead to future projects and publications. So it's kind of a pipeline, if you will, of development. This is sort of the idea. As I said, we had the conference at the weekend, a very small conference, but a good start nonetheless. We had roughly 20 papers, about 8 posters. I found it very inspiring. I'll just give you a little taste of some of the topics that we had. I mean, I think one of the things that was most interesting was the fact that we had topics related to robotics, feminist philosophy, cybersecurity, fashion and sustainability and the climate, issues dealing with gender and people who have a risk of falling, gender equality plans, gender and hormones, and gender and, of course, global value chains. So certainly a very hopeful set of papers I found, in the sense that a very wide-ranging set of topics that people were dealing with were no longer confined to either gender studies or the social sciences. So people really ranging out there. So I found that very hopeful. Here's what's coming in the next year. So we have a year, a little bit more left of our project. So some resources that we'll be making available in the next year that might be useful to you all. So one is we'll have 2 book collections of articles that integrate the sex and gender dimension in research content. One hopefully available in the fall, this coming fall, from this conference we just had, and then another book collection after the next conference. We'll put out a set of guidelines for engendering, if I can speak this morning, it would be excellent, engendering policies and projects. And of course, eventually, with the idea of something that's more sustainable, we'll have a fully online training module for engendering research in all disciplines. I think that's it for me. Thanks for the opportunity. Thomas, thank you so much. Thank you to the GeDiMIRT conference. If there's any way in which we at GenderX can help you all in your work, or we can find ways to collaborate, I'd be so happy to talk about that. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.